This is Ham, the chimpanzee still pulling the right lever after his rocket began to fail. He was strapped inside a small Mercury spacecraft built for America's first astronauts. The cabin lost pressure. The capsule began taking on seawater. NASA had sent him to answer one frightening question. Could a living passenger keep working when the machine around him stopped behaving? On January 31st, 1961, no American had reached space. Engineers could test a heat shield, a parachute, or a radio without a living passenger. They could not see what launch, weightlessness, and re-entry would do to a mind trying to act. A future astronaut would need to see a signal, choose a control, and answer correctly while the spacecraft shook and gravity disappeared. So NASA built the test around a small animal and a very simple question. Would the answer still come? NASA's report called him Subject 65. Ham was not a volunteer. He was a research animal, trained for months, fitted with sensors, and kept in a pressure couch built to measure every response. Before launch, he had slept only 5 hours and spent nearly 9 more restrained in the couch. Then the hatch closed. The records would call him Data. The flight would make him the one still acting inside the machine. 3 lights, 2 levers. One lever had to be pressed every 15 seconds. A blue light appeared about once every 2 minutes. Ham learned the pattern. A correct response could bring a banana-flavored pellet. A missed answer could bring a mild electric shock. The experiment reduced survival to a sequence of small decisions, and NASA was about to ask him to make those decisions through a rocket launch. At 11:54 in the morning, Mercury-Redstone 2 lifted off. Seconds later, the booster produced too much thrust. The fuel ran out early. The escape system fired and sent the capsule higher and farther than planned. Then Ham entered more than 6 minutes of weightlessness. The flight had already gone wrong, but the most dangerous failure was still inside the capsule. Vibration opened a valve. The main cabin lost pressure. Ham survived because the couch around him had its own sealed air system. The lights kept flashing, the telemetry kept recording. NASA later compared his performance in flight with his performance before launch. The difference was effectively unchanged. Ham had done what the experiment demanded, even while the vehicle failed around him. The answer was clear. The danger was not over. 16 minutes and 39 seconds after launch, the capsule struck the Atlantic, far from the nearest recovery ship. It rolled onto its side. Water poured through damage in the pressure wall and an open valve. 27 minutes after landing, a search plane spotted it. Ham was still inside while helicopters were sent from another ship. NASA records say the full search and recovery took about 2 hours and 56 minutes. When the hatch finally opened, condensation hid Ham behind the couch window. The recovery team heard him vocalizing normally. He was alive, tired, and dehydrated. Engineers changed the rocket before risking Alan Shepard. 3 months later, Shepard flew. The rocket had failed. The cabin had failed. The capsule had flooded. But Ham had kept answering. Ham completed the test. If you enjoyed this story, a like helps it reach more people. Subscribe if you don't want to miss the next one.